Hey, good evening, my friends. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Wednesday Night Live with me, Mike Avery, here from my home studio, my office at the house. Nice to have you along with me as we celebrate another week of this outdoor lifestyle, the history and tradition. Hello, Craig. Johnny, Craig, look what I got. Johnny, guess what's in it? Anyway, my friends, glad to have you along with us. I hope you were able to stay warm since we talked this morning. Just another ridiculously cold, bitter, frigid day. Hasn't it been crazy? But the forecast for next week is looking a little bit better. Jerry checking in from Algonac. Lost Glove, good evening. How are you? Hey, Cliff, nice to have you along with us. Mike Sills, Michigan Outdoorsman. I'm doing great. How are you, buddy? It's not just water, Johnny. Sean, fellow Angler Quest owner. I see Brad appreciated your comments on the post last week when you said if there's anything you can do to help. Brad gave that a big like. Randy, good evening. Tim, who keeps reminding me that I am much older than him. Hello, Ed. Linda checking in from Ann Arbor. Hello, Jim. How are things over on your side of the state? I did, Emil. It's gone. It's gone. Tony, my skinny water fellow brother, how are you? Tony, I'm jonesing. So bad. It's been so long since I was out there. Good evening, David. How are you? I'm so looking forward to spring now. I can't get spring fever yet, but I'm looking forward to spring because turkey season, I absolutely love turkey season. And also this early water Saginaw Bay trolling. Since I'm going to have the same boat this year, I know I'm going to get it early, so I'm going to be able to get out there and chase those skinny water fish real early in the year. Robert, good evening. How are you? Appreciate you joining me on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. I thought you were going to say, Tim, the older we get, the closer to the end we are. Francis checking in from Rose City. How are things in Rose City? Francis, appreciate you joining us. Appreciate you being along on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. Johnny said, I have to go take a look at a question, but I want to know what I'm talking about. You have a question. Johnny, don't let the facts get in the way of a good question. Justin, how are you, buddy? Nice to have you along with us. Paul checking in from Florida. He's missing the ice fishing, but a good end it will be. Amen, brother. Missing the ice fishing. I can't imagine missing ice fishing. I got to be honest with you. I'm just not into ice fishing. Done it, of course. You can't grow up in Michigan and not have been an ice angler at one time, but it's not something that gets me excited. That's for sure. How long before ice fishing on the bay? I would think pretty soon, John. And then the question is, how long is it going to stay? Because it's going to be a warm spell next week. Hello, Doug. How are you? Young Guns Outdoors. Francis says, good, lots of snow. Ed Bolanowski checking in from Facebook, where he is no longer banished on Facebook. I think I did something on my end, Ed, unintentionally. But we're all good now, right? We're all good. I'll tell you what, I shoveled so much snow last week, and because I didn't want to die of a heart attack, I shoveled like 4 different times. So I was shoveling 2 to 3 inches of snow at a time rather than 10, 12, 14 inches, whatever we got here. Absolutely crazy. And now it's just cold. Very, very cold. Okay, so, okay, good. Mike says he just went past the Saginaw River and she is indeed making ice. Ed, how are you this evening? Appreciate you joining us. Dennis, checking in on a frosty evening. It is. What's the temp right now? The temp right now is like, it's 16 degrees here now, so it's actually gone up. Isn't it crazy that I can look at my watch, or we can look at our phones, or we can look at our screen, our laptop, and see exactly what the conditions are outside? You know, in the old days, and not that long ago, like my grandpa, if he wanted to know what the weather was going to be, he'd walk out on the front porch. He'd put his face up in the sky. He'd feel the humidity, feel the breeze, feel the temperature. And he'd make his own forecast. These days, I look at my watch, my phone, whatever. What's the weather going to be like? Johnny Bowler. Okay. Hey, Brent, how you doing? Brent, I understand you will be joining us at the Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction. Look forward to seeing you there, my friend. Okay, Johnny, did you see the DNR's launching an initiative to help the deer herd? I believe that's to help the deer herd Tell me more, Johnny. Tell me more. Tell me more. Good evening, Dan. Dennis, how are you? Hey, Lori, how you doing? Craig says he applied to be on the DNR Deer Management Panel. Might be interesting. Oh, is that what you're talking about, Johnny? The Deer Panel. Okay, the Deer Initiative. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes. That was first brought up to me about 3 weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, on the show by one of the guys from MUCC was telling me about it. Love to see you on there, Craig. Excellent, Brent. More input is better. Hello, Brian. You know, I freaked out for a little while there. Lost Glove. He said he saw that bright thing in the sky for a few minutes today. I actually was heading for cover. I thought it was the end. I thought the big one was coming. I did not know what that thing was in the sky, but it was really bright. Didn't bring us much warmth, though, did it? Listen, speaking of the Trinity Monitor Dinner, let me show you something. You see that QR code right there? If you scan that QR code, that will take you to the website where you can buy tickets for the Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction Saturday, March 2nd. As an alternative, go to the website one.bidpal.net/Trinity Monitor. one.bidpal.net/Trinity Monitor. That'll take you to the site to buy your tickets. I will bring this back up later. So if you want this, even if you don't, I'm going to bring it back up again later. Blowing more smoke. 15 inches and still snowing in Petoskey. Johnny says there's only one way to help the deer herd, and that is, Johnny, get rid of wolves, or at least knock them down. Lori says we'll be at the Pheasant Fest that same weekend as the Trinity fundraiser. Darn it. Hey, Brian, good evening. How are you, buddy? You still watching your trail cameras out there, Brian? We've got a couple of them that are still alive. I was looking at them this morning. And the deer are looking cold. Help me out here, George. Good evening from Cohocton. Where is Cohocton, George? Cohocton. It's got to be Cohocton. Well, good evening right back at you, George. Tell me where Cohocton is. Jay is busy preparing for the Black Lake Sturgeon Chivalry. Is that this weekend, Jay? If so, I let it slip through the cracks because I like to get the Sturgeon General on to talk about that. Is that this evening? Captain Jim, how are you doing, buddy? Jim, will you be joining us for the Trinity Monitor Dinner? Did you get your tickets yet? Am I going to check out the new outdoor show in Kalamazoo this weekend? No, I am not. But I wish them nothing but luck. Alan, how are things in Lapeer? Tim checking in from Skidway. Skidway, there we go. Johnny says it's a broken record, but it's true. We don't have to kill all of them, but something has to be done. I agree with you, Johnny, completely. For one thing, we got to put the fear of man into those things. Got to thaw them out. Barry, good evening. Ron St. Louis of Northern Wilderness Bear Outfitters. Ron, your buddy Daryl is knocking the snot out of the wolves with his Michigan hunters, isn't he? While Ron is up here, Ron, I am so excited to get back up and hunt with you this year. Really jonesing. Ron St. Louis, Northern Wilderness Bear Outfitters. If you are looking for a quality, top-notch Canadian bear hunt, I highly recommend Ron. NorthernWildernessBearOutfitters.com. Dan says 2 days until the Pure Michigan Hunt drawing. Thank you. Good point. Have a good show, Lori. It's February 1st and 2nd. Excellent. Oh, really? Jay, I did not know that. The Sturgeon General, Brenda Archambault, actually retired. You are her replacement. Jay, would you do this for me, please? Will you send me an email to Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com? That's Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. And let's make that connection, and I can get your number, and we can talk on the show. Scott Keatsman of Linwood Taxidermy, LinwoodTaxidermy.com, will be at the event. Unfortunately, Captain Jim will not. We're going to miss you, Jim. I understand. Life gets in the way, but we're going to miss you. Erica, how are things in the thumb? Nice to have you along with us tonight on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. One more time, if you want to get tickets for the Trinity Dinner, Saturday, March 2nd, you can scan this QR code right here. That will take you to the website, one.bidpal.net, one.bidpal.net. There you can get your tickets. Brian says, Johnny Bowler, have you ever been on Pashiki Road? Brian, is that the same thing as the Pashiki grade? Because I've been on it. They released moose there about 25, 30 years ago. I've been down there. That's where they released moose for the moose lift. Already got him, Johnny. Remember, I owe you some money, Johnny. Where'd you see the guys ice fishing, Ricky? Ed says, we'll be at the Trinity dinner with the Plowmen. Yes. Okay. So it's funny you would ask Johnny if he's been down there. I have. Been a long time. Good evening, Dan. Nice to have you along with us. Uncle Johnny, or it's Ryan. No, it's Ryan. Peyton and Rylan are with us. Ryan will also be joining us. Ryan Craves, my nephew, will be joining us at the Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction Saturday, March 2nd. Again, if you want tickets, right there's your code. Or go to one.bidpal.net, one.bidpal.net. Peyton, Rylan, how are you, kiddos? Hope you're doing well. Steve, good evening. James, nice to have you along with the Saginaw River they were fishing. Scott Summers. Scott Keatsman says, let's talk about that golf outing more. I'm all in on that one. This came up this morning. I think it was Bill Lincoln suggested it. I was saying one of my goals for this year is to play more golf. And somebody said, well, why don't we have, because I was talking about the bow hunting outing we're having in Ohio in October. And somebody said, why don't we have a golf outing? Why don't we have an Outdoor Magazine golf outing? And actually I thought, you know what? That's a pretty good idea. Sounds like a lot of work, probably a lot more work than I want to put into it, but the concept sounds pretty cool. And I've already got courses reaching out to me offering to host the outing. Art says he's ready to walk on ice in the southeast finally, although it may be gone next week because of those warm temps. Dan says they are all over the Saginaw River. Oh, Uncle Johnny's with us too. Hey, Johnny. Our plans have changed a little bit for tomorrow. I'm not taking that piece of furniture down tomorrow, so we could actually ride together tomorrow if you want. Alan said he saw 8 shanties on the ice on the Saginaw River by the railroad bridge downtown Saginaw today. Ricky's got a picture to send me. Ricky, send it to Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com, Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Elmer says, don't be an idiot when you're walking on the ice. Alan says he's down for a golf outing. Dan says he thinks they're crazy. I do too. James says fishable ice in Berrien County inland lakes, channel 6 inches. Emil said he'd love to organize. Emil, you're the first person, I got to be honest. Forward Corporation is one of the first partners I thought of in helping to coordinate this Outdoor Magazine golf outing, or this Mike Avery Outdoors golf outing. And we already have an invitation. The West Branch Country Club has offered to host it for us. So maybe this thing is starting to get legs of its own. Maybe this is something we should do. Excellent. Cliff says, I picked up an AR-based 350 Legend last Saturday. Now I can't wait for the 2024 season. I will be bear hunting with Johnny Bowler this fall with my 350 Legend. Probably the next time I'll have it out. Ed said there were some guys on Grand Lake today ice fishing. Craig says he suggested West Branch. Great course in the center of the UP. You got the Dream and you got the Nightmare, the Legend. What are they? Those are probably bigger courses than what we're going to want to deal with. But I don't know. It's even if you can't golf, can you drink beer and smoke cigars? You know, I mean, to me, that's what golfing with buddies is. You jump in a cart, you have a couple beers, and you smoke cigars. I mean, I kind of think we should do it. Captain Jim says Pratt Lake in Gladwin has a good 3 inches. He sputtered his way out to 14 feet. Tim says a couple of shanties on the bay in Aranac County off Palmer Road. This is interesting, Gene. Gene works at Apex Marine. He says, good evening, Mike. I listened to your radio program this weekend. Wow, I did not know that was going on with Brad. I suspected that, Gene. I suspected that the word of Mr. Angler Quest, Brad Dupuis, starting his own company and taking, with the company owner, Mark's blessing, taking the Angler Quest name with him, I suspected that was not well known. Good evening, Paul. How are you? But I tell you, I'm so excited about it. Martin says that golf outing idea sounds like a great time. Man, it does, doesn't it? Jeremy, thank you. The Deer Management Initiative application has been posted today. Where do we find it, Jeremy? Craig Plowman has already signed up for it. Johnny Bowler, Uncle Johnny. Johnny Bowler says he can't wait to see Uncle Johnny. Because both of you guys are talking about this, the Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction. Here's the QR code to get tickets. Tickets went on sale Monday, and we immediately, within 24 hours, sold half the tickets. We will sell out, even though we had to raise the price a little bit. Scan that QR code right there for tickets, or go to one.bidpal.net/Trinity Monitor, one.bidpal.net/Trinity Monitor, and get your tickets for the big Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction coming up Saturday, March 2nd. Some of the items that we're live auctioning off: an African safari, courtesy of our friend Craig Plowman; a UP bear hunt, courtesy Johnny Bowler; a coyote hunt, courtesy Matt Schock; youth hunts. Scott Hand is giving one away, and I think probably the Schwab family farms will give one away too, although I haven't verified that. Saginaw Bay Walleye Charter Fishing Trip with Captain Doug Ward. Detroit River Walleye Fishing Trip with Captain Mark Pananzak. A day of walleye fishing with me on Saginaw Bay aboard the Angler Quest. Those are just some of the live auction items. Jeff, good evening. Emil says he's my Huckleberry. And Emil, you're the perfect guy. Honestly, you are the perfect guy to do this. Scott Keatsman at Linwood Taxidermy, Emil, says dibs on the number one hole sponsor. Dan said it would be an awesome time. He's in. Craig says him and Michelle will help organize the golf outing. Gosh, I'm starting to think it's got to happen. Can we pick a blow day? Or let's pick it in August. Let's not do June. Let's not do July. Let's do August. Let's do August, when the fishing has slowed down in the bay. 3 shanties on Thompson Lake at the boat launch. Scott Summers says he wants to give a big thanks to the Forward Corp. Mike Sills, Michigan outdoorsman, shot my bear with a 350 Legend and it put a gnarly hole in it. Now we wait for the taxidermist. So, Mike, you say the 350 Legend is a good round, a good caliber on a bear. Johnny Bowler promises me if I get my tag this year, and I expect I will. Craig Plowman, it will be a scramble. Jeff says Cadell's off St. Clair getting some business. Dan says 100%. My man, beer, cigars, and golf. How can you go wrong? I mean, honestly, you're out in the sunshine. Hopefully it's a nice day. You're around a bunch of good people, drinking a couple beers, smoking cigars, and playing golf. Honestly. Country club right in town, back 9 is like being up north. That's the country club. That's the club that has invited us in. And Kevin Hannes. Kevin Hannes? Sorry, Kevin, I got a mental block here. And Craig, you know him. And Emil, you know him. I can't find it. Kevin invited us up. He's got an in there. I don't know if he's the greenskeeper or he's the what, but he says that we have an invitation. Kevin Hannes. He says, Mike, we would enjoy having you up to golf, or if you would like to put together an outing, I can check to see what dates are available. He said I could also set it up for a weekend of golf at the West Branch Country Club, the Dream and the Nightmare. Thank you, Kevin. Hello, Ralph. How are you? Emil says, I do a lot of business with them. What will you do with the proceeds? Would we make money on it? I wouldn't be looking to make money on it. Never thought of that, Emil. Never thought of that. I don't know what we would do with the money. I wondered where you were going with this, Scott, but I didn't want to ask. He'd like to thank Forward Corporation for buying one of the Oscoda local gas stations. Forward Corporation, I'm telling you, they're almost 100 years in business. They're good people. Evening, Robert. Joe says, I claim I'm scouting for deer with the time I spend in the woods looking for my ball. Alan says, I heard a rumor Angler Quest was going out of business. Any truth to this? Oh, contraire, my friend Alan. In fact, it's just the opposite. It's the best news that I could possibly imagine. Angler Quest, the parent company Apex Marine, brought in some new management people, and they were turning their focus more towards recreational boats and away from hardcore fishing rigs. If it would have stayed that direction, I think the Angler Quest was doomed. However, the good news is Mr. Angler Quest himself, Brad Dupuis, is acquiring the Angler Quest brand. He's taking it from Apex, forming his own company, and he is going to make Angler Quest boats. They're now going to be QUEST, but he's going to keep them as hardcore fishing machines. So no truth to the rumor Angler Quest is going out of business. In fact, I see great things in their future. James says DNR sent an email with a link for the deer management. I haven't seen that yet. Always sells out. Bruce, good evening. We'll send some framework tomorrow. Emil, were you committing me to this right now? Any Lions tickets? Yeah. Craig says the West Branch Country Club in town is an awesome course. I say, because Kevin Hannes has been trying to get me up there for a long time, and he's the first guy who jumped up and said we would host your outing, I think maybe the West Branch Country Club is a good option. Josh said you can't do it in August. That's salmon time. Mike says, yep, 180 grains. Shot it this past September in Gwin. I don't think I was shooting 180 grains. I think I was shooting a lighter load, but I'll take a look at him. Linda agrees. August is the perfect golf month. Johnny says, you'll get a bear if I have to drag it in there with a rope. Hey, Doug, I was just saying that you have offered a walleye fishing trip on Saginaw Bay. Captain Doug Ward, thank you for that. I appreciate that so very much. I also see Scott Keatsman. Scott, I have to let people know that you also are giving us a very nice auction item for our dinner, a shoulder mount, a whitetail shoulder mount. So we have some phenomenal, and we're just getting started. Again, you want to join us? Scan that QR code right there. Scan that QR code right there. It'll take you to the website where you can buy tickets for the Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction. Or just go right to the website, one.bidpal.net, one.bidpal.net. It's looking like it might be going to have to happen, eh? Johnny? Hello, Mike. Mike's Tire Sales. How you doing, bud? I don't think so. Craig says, I think the proceeds should be donated to your church. I don't think so. I mean, I support Trinity. I heartily support them. And all the money from our Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction goes back to the church. If we were going to have a Mike Avery Outdoors or an Outdoor Magazine golf outing, and I hadn't even looked at it as a fundraiser. That didn't even cross my mind. But I'd like to put that money into something like Emil was suggesting, conservation or youth or something like that, or something. Hey, Bruce, good evening. How are you? Jerry, good evening. Ed says, what about giving some of the money to the group that's trying to get kids in cities fishing? Michigan Wildlife Council? Johnny Bowler says, me and Uncle Johnny could drive around the cart, and you could actually be the beer ladies. You could ride the beer cart. I think you're right, Emil. Emil says, too late. You have already committed. You're just now realizing it. Actually, I think you're right, Emil. James already filled out his application to be in the Deer Management Initiative. Interesting. Brian says, hey, Mike, just a reminder to buy Michigan brand ham. I went cheap and paid for it today. Bought a competitor's ham and had gas so bad my boss sent me home from work. I'm going to screenshot that right there and send that to Nick. I'll send it to Nick right now. I can't see it. There it is, message. Nick Grillo. Yes. Michigan brand ham, Michigan brand.net, Michigan brand.net. Caddyshack or Happy Gilmore rules? Well, Scott says Mike Hampton is on his team. Scott and Mike, is that because you guys are actually good golfers, or is it just that you just like each other's company? Now, see, you guys already have us figuring out where to put the proceeds from this event, and I don't even know if we're going to have it yet. Elmer says, great success story for Captain Doug Ward. Very proud of your cousin. Doug Ward is a stand-up guy, and man, he catches fish, and I am so excited and so pleased that Doug is going to donate a walleye fishing trip on Saginaw Bay for our Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction. Linda says there's a link right there to get in on the Deer Management Initiative. They want to come up with a plan, a long-term plan for deer management in Michigan, and they say they want some of us, non-biologists, non-politicians, non-DNR, non-MUCC. I think it's interesting. Marion, good evening. James says MUCC always needs donations. I'll tell you what. Here's what I would be very interesting with. Partnering with Forward Corporation or somebody, getting some of the other companies that I work with like Michigan Brand involved, maybe Jay's Sporting Goods, team up with MUCC. Here we go. Now it's coming together. Ding, 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 ding. Partner up also with MUCC. Make it a fundraiser for MUCC's Camp for Kids. I think we got it. Craig Plowman says, Johnny in a dress? Craig, I didn't say anything about Johnny in a dress. I don't know where your mind is going. Jason, my brother, how are you? All of the above. Definitely Caddyshack. Oh, I'm getting it. Doug Ward just signed up for the Deer Initiative. Scott Handoff says, I'll donate a doe hunt so Avery can finally get a doe. Well, listen, we were at Costco tonight, and Denise was reaching for some burger. And she said, since we don't have any venison, I said, yeah, but we got bear burger in the freezer. She said, no, it's all gone. So I'm getting grief. Michelle says, great idea. Gene says, sounds awesome. Tim says, awesome. Camp for Kids, perfect. I'm going to shoot an email. I'm going to shoot a text off to Nick Green of MUC. Poor Johnny. I know, poor Johnny. Everybody picks on Johnny. Johnny's a salt of the earth. The guy's got big, broad, strong shoulders. He can take it. If we didn't tease Johnny, he wouldn't think we loved him. I'm liking this. I'm liking this a lot. Mike Avery Outdoors golf outing at the West Branch Country Club involving the Forward Corporation, involving Michigan Brand, involving some other partners, teaming up with MUCC to raise funds for Camp for Kids. Hey, Todd, how are you? Bill Lincoln, the guy who suggested a golf outing. Bill Lincoln. You're the man. I will do this if I don't have to do it. Meaning, I'll promote it, I'll play in it, I'll help out with it, but I ain't going to run it. But it sounds like Emil Rousseau is going to run it. Well, the reason you're just hearing about it right now, Game Over Outfitters, is because the idea was just mentioned about 10 hours ago. I got you covered. On my Behind the Mic segment this morning, I was talking about how I wanted to play more golf. And Bill Lincoln says, why don't you have a golf outing? And look at where we're at. Emil says he's got me covered. Mike says, I'll help as needed. Jason says, I can't golf to save my life, but I can drive a cart and drink beer with the best of them. And that's what this will be about. Johnny says, I'll help by playing. I think we're on to something, my friends. And this wasn't my idea. I did not come up with this. You guys did. Bill Lincoln suggested it this morning, and now you guys have jumped on board. And I think, I don't see any reason why it can't happen this summer. Excellent. We've already got 3 hole sponsors right now. Doug Ward, Captain Doug says, joining Craig Plowman's table at the Trinity event. He's so awesome. Well, he is awesome, but don't tell him that because then he gets a big head. Going to have to gather a golf team. Craig got me this right here, which is like one of my favorite. Even though it's a Yeti, it's one of my favorite in the world. Not a big fan of Yeti. Not a big fan of Yeti. The first annual. Michelle's on it. She's got it. She's got it figured out. The first annual. Let me switch gears a little bit and tell you who's on the show this week. My first guest this week, Dave Rose. Dave is an outdoor writer and a fishing guide. He talks about fishing first ice and why first ice can be some of the best ice. Is Emil making the sandwiches? I don't know. Let's not get too far into the weeds here, folks. Then Bill Piles of Ohio Bow Hunting Outfitters. We have moved our Ohio bow hunt back a week. This year it's October 21st through the 25th. Right before the rut. Should be good. Bill is on the show this week to talk about this hunt. We have openings. I'm looking for people to join us. If you've ever considered an out-of-state whitetail hunt, but you're a little bit nervous, the prices scare you, you don't want to get into something you don't know anything about, this is a good option. I'll tell you the price, it's $2,500. But for a 5-day hunt with lodging and meals included in Ohio, that time of year, it's a good price. We're looking for people to join us. Send me an email to Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com, Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Yes, you can use a crossbow on this hunt. Or get in touch with Bill Piles directly. He's on Facebook. He's also at OhioBowhuntingOutfitters.com, OhioBowhuntingOutfitters.com. He does request that if you want to be in on our week down there, that you tell him it's part of the Avery outing so he can plan accordingly. In the second hour, Matt Taggett of Michigan-based Rec Broadheads. He, I saw a comment there that got me off kilter there. He talks about the new broadhead they have unveiled at the ATA show. He also talks about shedding, the search for shed whitetail antlers. Nick Green of MUCC checks in. Then this week's Ask Avery segment is following up on the concept of lifting the number of rods that Great Lakes trolling anglers can run. There was some comment on that last week. There was some concern, some misconception. So I spend that segment talking about what the proposal is at this point and trying to assuage some concerns. Then Kyle Green of Greenway Outdoors TV show. This kid is something else. I'm telling you what. You got to listen to this conversation with him. He is, for 27 years old, I think that's what he is. He's on fire. He is unreal. And then, of course, we wrap it up with Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. We're starting something new with the Dixie Dave segments, and I don't know why we haven't done this before. This is the Dixie Dave's Wild Game Recipes. This is the consummate Dixie Dave cookbook. He has everything in here. Dave, as you know, every week joins me on the show to give a recipe. And I often have people say, hey, I didn't get that recipe. What was it? And I'm thinking, I got every recipe that Dave does right here. So starting this week, I'm going to scan the recipe out of the cookbook and post it on the Facebook page. And I don't know where or why we didn't do this before. I don't know why we didn't do this before. Joe says that's a great price. Listen, our costs went up. Everything went up, right? So we had to raise our costs. Save them for the Aim will save the sandwiches for the fishing trip. Shannon, how are you? Scott says pre-rut is the best. Scott says I see Anthony Zettel golfs. He's a West Branch boy. Scott says that's a great deal with meals and lodging. Scott, love to have you join us. October 21st through the 25th. Bill Piles, great guy. John says, golf outings are a ton of work, but I definitely think we can get enough volunteers to make it happen. It sounds like it. Ed says he has that cookbook. Good evening, Dan. Great idea, I know it. Not anymore, James. The entire cookbook is not in print anymore. How much is the cookbook? I don't know. I've had it for so long, I don't know. Doing well. Johnny says it only went up $25. Big deal. Ammunition's going up. Everything's going up right now. Hey, listen, the cost to put this dinner on has gone up so much we didn't have a choice. It is a fundraiser. I mean, it's fellowship, but it's a fundraiser, and we can't lose money on having an event. I never thought of a golf outing as a fundraiser, though. I got to be honest with you. But I'm actually kind of excited about it. Again, if you want to be a part of the Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction, you can scan this QR code. You can get your tickets right there. I wouldn't drag my feet. We're going to sell out. We always do. Or go to the website one.bidpal.net, one.bidpal.net, and you can sign up right there. Again, some of the things we're auctioning off for the live auction: African Safari, UP Bear Hunt with Johnny Bowler, Coyote Hunt with Matt Schock, a couple of different youth hunts, Saginaw Bay Walleye Fishing Trip with Captain Doug Ward, Detroit River Walleye Fishing Trip with Captain Mark Pananzak, Day of Walleye Fishing with me on Saginaw Bay, a whitetail shoulder mount from Scott Keatsman of Linwood Taxidermy. And I will tell you this, and I feel a little bit bad about this, but I am for this summer, I am severely cutting back on the number of trips that I am committing to. Last year I overcommitted. I love doing charity trips. I love raising money for groups and organizations, but I got carried away last year and I committed to too many trips. In fact, I didn't even get them all in. So I'm cutting back this year. In fact, for the Trinity event, I'm only doing one trip. Usually we do 2 river cruises, which I didn't get in last year. Got to do them this year. Not got to. Looking forward to doing them this year. Usually do 2 river cruises and 2 fishing trips. I'm doing 1 fishing trip for the Trinity event this year. And just a handful of other charities. So, but I got to do what I got to do. It is for a great cause. Captain Doug Ward says Captain Mark Pananzak is an absolute riot to fish with. He'll have you in stitches. And he'll share your cigars with you. Tell me what a reverse raffle is, Jim. I don't know. Believe me, we have figured out ways to get money out of people. For example, at the beginning of it, I will raffle off a $100 bill, and we'll get more than $100 for it. We raffle off the ability to go up and eat first. This year, we're going to raffle off personal drink waiters who will go right to the head of the line at the bar. One.bidpal.net, one.bidpal.net/Trinity Monitor, or scan the QR code you're looking at right there. It is so much fun. It's really cool to be involved in events like this. A couple of other things I'm working on. Oh, since I'm not an ice fisherman, I'm right now I'm looking forward to turkey season. Honestly, I'm looking forward to turkey season. I'm also working on trying to get Frank Ragnow on the radio show. I'm not going to bother him right now. He's a little busy right now. But I would love to get Frank Ragnow on the radio show. I would love to establish interaction with him, maybe get him out in the bay, maybe do some things with him, maybe help him out, maybe he can help us out. I'm not saying it's going to happen because I haven't even been able to make contact with the guy, but that's one of the things in my back of my mind I'd like to see happen. I'd like to see Mitch Rompola come out of hiding as well and talk to me, but here's what I don't understand. If it's not a big deal to Mitch and he didn't care enough about it to follow up on it, why is it a big deal to anybody else? This is where I'm at lately. Because the story won't go away because people keep dredging it up, keep dredging it up. Why? Why do people care? Why are people so adamant and so convinced either way? Hey, Michelle, take a chill pill here, hon. Let's not get carried away yet. Johnny, Mike, I'd like to donate a brook trout fishing trip on the Fox one day to get your limit. Gotcha, Johnny. Hey, Randy, good evening. How are you? Brook trout on the Fox. the stomping grounds of, oh my gosh, help me out here, Hemingway. Brook trout trip. You guys are so generous. I love you. Elmer, love for Michigan. Has a good volley. Who've been around. Very true, Elmer. You don't find very many who have been around for a long time like me. I figured it out today. I've been doing the radio show for 19 years out of WSGW, but I've actually been doing a radio show since 1994. I started in outdoor television. I started in television in 1980. Probably started in outdoor television in about 82. Started in radio in 94, and I'm still here. Hey, Dave, how you doing, buddy? I'm still here. And Bates. Help me out, Doug. And Bates. And Bates what? And Bates. I don't know, Doug. Hey, Dave. How are you? Appreciate you joining us. I do love the state, though. Where are we at? I do love the state. There's no doubt about that. I am an unabashed fanboy for the state of Michigan. Appreciate that, Linda. Do I miss anything about the TV show? Not one thing. Not one thing. I don't miss one thing about that TV show. Oh, I gotcha. Baits, along with rods, giving away baits. Thank you, Doug. It's been a good ride, my friends. God has truly blessed me. And as long as he continues to let me do this, I'm not going anywhere. Maybe that's good news. Maybe that's bad. Bad news. Oh, one more time. Scan this QR code right here. Or go to the website one.bidpal.net, one.bidpal.net/Trinity Monitor. The event is Saturday, March 2nd. Tickets are now on sale. The event is Saturday, March 2nd at the Great Hall in Midland. Johnny says that fishing trip can be any time in May or June or July. I didn't make it down to the fishing show, Kevin. Between my wife being under the weather still, actually I wasn't feeling real great either. And I never planned on going Thursday. If I was going to go, it was going to be Friday. And the weather Friday, I said, I'm staying home. Well, except for the 4th of July weekend, Johnny says. No, they're not officially taking reservations at the Lumberjack. Not officially taking reservations at the Lumberjack. Right, Amo? Scan this QR code or go to the website one.bidpal.net, one.bidpal.net. Now you got me geeked about a golf outing. And maybe I'm going to get off this live stream and go, what the hell? Maybe I'm going to go, this is not a good idea after all. Maybe it's one of these things that I so often do. I get caught up in the moment. I get caught up in the excitement. Maybe I'm going to get off this and go, I don't want to be a part of a golf outing. Hey, Mark, you're a golfer. Let me ask you this. Would you be interested in a Mike Avery Outdoors golf outing at the West Branch Country Club and make it a fundraiser for MUCC's Camp for Kids? Is that something you'd be involved in? Always looking for stuff for the auction, Scott. A little lighter in the wallet now. Kevin, did you get tickets for the dinner? I can't go till I hear back from Mark. Mark will be joining us, by the way, in Ohio for our outing October 21st through the 25th. Maybe you're going to get off the show and just wake up. Get a block of rooms for the golf outing. Scott, just send me an email, please. Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Mark says absolutely. Absolutely. Where is it? There it is. And you know what that means. Time to wrap up this edition of Wednesday Night Live. You were at the Frank's booth. How about those Lions? Hell has frozen over. Thank you, Linda. Appreciate it. Michelle, thank you. How can we help promote the number of fishing rod rulings? The way to do that, thank you for asking, Randy, is any conservation or fishing groups that you are a part of, encourage them to officially get behind the proposal. That's what we need right now. We need the local conservation club, the local fishing groups to officially throw your support behind the proposal. That's what we need at this point. Emil says the music makes you want to start working out again. Why did you stop? Here's the QR code. Scan that if you want to get tickets for the Trinity dinner. Or go to the website, one.bidpal.net, one.bidpal.net/Trinity Monitor. My website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address, mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Have a great night, my friends.